Yeah, Marcus. So it got me thinking, like, why do we watch and absorb things, information from the internet, from books and all that? Why do we do that? Does it really help us improve our lives to know about a specific murder that happened across the world, along with the details of how it happened or how that murderer was related to certain people, and then someone just ended up getting killed? How is that information productive? How is that information helpful? How is that information going to affect me as an individual that is living halfway across the world from that event? A one in a billion chance of that event happening that specific way, that happened to make it onto the news because the news outlets and the social media that controls that news would be able to profit off of us. Does that make sense? Like, how is that information useful to me? Other than making me, feel certain kind of like fear response and it, you know, jolts me awake, shocks my nervous system into some kind of, you know, excited state that lasts for like maybe 1 or 2 minutes, and then you forget about that. But the nervous system doesn't really forget, does it? It stores that kind of trauma. It stores that kind of you see, the more shocking a news is, or the more shocking some kind of external input is, the more it disrupts our nervous system. The more information that is shocking, that is gruesome, that is like, out of this world, the more our body reacts in order to kind of like reorder our nervous system, reorder the mind, our brains, our energetic field, right? It shocks it. And then part of the psyche stores that kind of information, and it manifests in different ways, right? That's why we are so fucked up. These kind of news, right? How is that information useful? Other than giving us like micro trauma doses. And then we get excited and we share it with our family, with our peers, with our friends, with our relatives, with our whatever, in hopes that they will be able to share that kind of shock with us. How is that going to help us, right? So anything that we watch online, any information that we read from books, any stories that we hear from friends, we got to keep on asking ourselves, like, how is this information going to help us, right? Because it's a funny thing, like how news get like viral is a very funny thing. The more shocking it is, even though it is one in a 100 million chance that something like that would happen, but then we think that it will happen to us. because that is what we are seeing at the moment. You see, evolution made us humans believe that the things that we see might happen to us because we did not have phones. Information did not travel that fast. Information, what you see is what you get, right? A caveman seeing his or her own, tribe member being ripped apart by predators, by animals that are twice as big as us, twice as strong, three times as strong as us, right? What we see should make us fearful. It should get stored in us as micro trauma doses. It should shock us into remembering, whoa, saber-toothed tigers can do that to humans. I'm a human, and and I need to remember this kind of traumatic event so that anytime I see a saber-toothed tiger in my vicinity, I have to warn I have to warn my freaking tribe members, because what I see is is reality, is my environment, is my immediate environment. But now we have like news that that shows flooding, in whatever particular country, in whatever particular state, few hundred kilometers away, few hundred miles away. God knows what happens across the whole world, right? And the news is so saturated with all these stories and articles and videos and images that microdoses us with trauma. No wonder we are always stressed. No wonder society is chronically stressed, especially like modern people, like people living in modern cities, having modern gadgets. How is that information going to help me other than cause me a spike in cortisol and a huge mix of like chemicals in my brain, in my body, in reaction to these kind of news? Or am I just eating mental junk that is hard to digest and process with the concoction of different chemicals that are released in the brain when these images and videos and articles and whatnot and these stories. All right, so please have some discernment. Are the things that you're watching, are the things that you're listening to, do they actually improve your life? Do they actually do you good? Or do they just cause you trauma, micro traumas that your subconscious mind receives and accepts as true, and then it stores it in the back of your mind? And most of the people don't even have the awareness and the consciousness to process all these micro traumas, and then it gets stored layer after layer after layer after layer after layer. It gets stored deep, deep into the subconscious mind. Stop spreading these news then. There's no point. No, I gotta uh you know put my moral perspective and my moral lens on what happened on the news. I've got to have an opinion. I've got to have a judgment so that I can feel better about myself, so that I can feel morally superior compared to other people. Oh yeah, this person got murdered. I gotta warn my family. I gotta put some moral judgment. Oh, I gotta express grief for the victim, for the victim's family. Oh, this person is innocent. This person is an innocent person. He or she should not have been killed by this murderer. And then it turns into anger, anger, blame, criticism onto the murderer for doing such thing. Evil, evil. Who are you to judge whether or not you don't know 100% of the story? Oh no, but but the victim and the family, I'm sad. Now you're sad, and then later on you're angry at the murderer. Oh, then your mood is ruined, and then a bunch of different synapses, fire together because of this one stupid news. This random news that popped up in your feed for God knows for what reason. And now your emotions is out of whack. Now you have more layers of stress, more layers of emotional turmoil that you have to deal with on top of your daily life stresses. Commuting to work, how am I going to pay the bills, right? On top of how am I going to care for my family? How am I going to care for my own health? On top of, okay, what do I need to do? What do I like to do? What are my passions? What is my purpose? On top of, what do I need to do to introspect within myself? Why do you have to add so many layers of stress on top of daily life, on top of living your own life? Your own life is already stressful enough. So if we don't put discernment onto these things that we consume mentally, not just physically, mentally consume, then we are basically dooming ourselves. We are cursing ourselves to have bad luck. I mean, some people like that if they're not at that level to, that kind of conscious level, that higher level of vibration, to be able to discern that, okay, this thing, I gotta turn this kind of news off, right? This doesn't really do anything for me other than adding more stress to my life, which is a bit not really my thing. Not everybody is that high of a level of consciousness to be able to discern and then consciously choose to turn it off, consciously choose to click and then click I'm not interested in these kind of posts, so that the algorithm is a reflection of who you are internally. You see, Instagram and all these Facebook and all these news outlets and what you see online when you scroll, all these are nothing but a reflection of your internal state, of your subconscious mind. It is a manifestation of your internal world. This is what manifestation actually is. If manifestation is not I'm going to pray to God, I am going to repeat mantras and it's happening right now. How are you manifesting your life, right? This is manifestation. It is not I'm gonna burn some incense, and then I'm gonna focus real hard on my manifestations, and then it's gonna pop out. I mean, yeah, you can it is a part of the process of manifestation. Yes, it works. If it works for you, then by all means go ahead. But what I'm saying is, my point is, what you see online, what is happening, in your life, in your physical environment, in your physical reality, is already a manifestations of what you have been, subconsciously thinking and training your mind to manifest in the past. These are the fruits of what you have sowed, of what you reap what you sow, right? Whatever is manifestation, whatever is manifesting in your life right now is manifested because of what you have sowed in the past. Your algorithm is the same thing. What your algorithm is feeding you right now is a manifestation of what you have put in. Is a reflection of what you have put in from your past. That's all it is. All right, I hope you actually discern whether or not certain information is helpful to you. And, just like food, just like anything else you consume mentally, physically, emotionally, don't just consume mindlessly. Oh, I'm going to eat everything without awareness of how much sugar or salt or fat or whatever I need. I'm just going to consume. Right? Don't be mindless, please. Have some discernment. All right. I'll leave you guys with that. Thanks for watching, guys.